Kanina po pinag-usapan natin yung inferential. Okay? So, pag sinabi mong inferential, meron kang population, then magdodraw ka ng sample. Tapos from the sample, magkakaroon ka ng analysis, then yung result ng analysis mo, na nakabase sa sample, gagamitin ko siya to generalize the characteristic of the population. Yun yung cycle ng inferential. Kaya lang, meron po bang error? Are you 100% certain na yung characteristic na makukuha mo dito ay yun talaga exactly yung characteristic ng population? Halimbawa po, nagsample ako ng bata sa Los Baños, nakita ko ang proportion ng underweight ay 20%. So ngayon, magko-conclude ako na 20% of the children in Los Baños are underweight. Is that exactly 20%? What do you think? No, but it is close to 20%. But for us to be able to have an estimate close to the true information, we follow the protocol. So ano yung protocol? Let's start from the sampling process. So dapat, there is a randomization techniques, no, to be considered in drawing your sample. Hindi po pwedeng naglalakad lang kayo dyan, kung sinong madaanan nyo dyang household, mag-interview, mag-measure na kayo ng bata. O kaya may kakilala kayo dito, i-interviewin ninyo, yun na yun. Hindi po pwede yun. So dapat there is a randomization mechanism. Okay? So, yung randomization po na pinag-uusapan natin, iba yung random pag social studies, iba kapag, social science, iba kapag experimental. Ano po? Pag sinabi po nating random sa social science, this is random selection of your respondents. Pag sinabi nating experiment, it is a random assignment of the treatment. Ano? So, magkaiba po yan. Ano? Kasi usually po, pag treatment, pag experimental, hindi ka naman nagko-conclude sa population. Ang kino-conclude mo ngayon, yung characteristics na nakuha mo as when you compare the different treatments. Unlike in the social science, especially the survey, ang kino-conclude mo, characteristic ng population based on the sample. Okay? So, kanina po sinabi ko yung census at saka survey ha. Pag census, complete enumeration. Pag survey, you select a sample. So, what is the implication now to your statistics? Pag census, descriptive. Pag survey, depende sa purpose. Kung ang purpose mo ay describe lang yung sample, descriptive. Pero kung ang purpose mo, gamitin ng sample to generalize the characteristic of the population, that is inferential. Okay? Ito po yung mga methods na pwede nating gamitin. So generally, meron po tayong dalawang sampling techniques. Meron pong tinatawag na non-probability sampling, and we also have this what we call the probability sampling. So yung non-probability sampling, the samples are generated using convenience sampling, judgmental sampling, quota sampling, and snowball sampling. So ito po yung mga sampling mechanism na wala pong randomization. So for example, convenience, yun nga, kung sino yung kakilala mo, kung ano yung convenient para sa'yo. So yun yung finalo mong, may finalo ka namang mechanism convenience, di ba? So but there's no randomization procedure there. Okay? So judgment, so yun yung mga purposive sampling. So, yung kumbaga, napili mo siya kasi nagpo-possess siya nung characteristics ng isang sample na gusto mong maging subject mo. So, then we also have quota sampling. Yung quota sampling po, para siyang stratified, equivalent siya dun sa stratified sa probability na meron ka ding grouping. Kunwari, gusto mo ng male-female, but then yung pagkuha mo ng male at saka pagkuha mo ng female, wala pa ring randomization. Pero may grouping, parang may subdivision ng population. Ano naman po yung snowball sampling? Yung snowball, ito yung, kunwari po, mga diabetic patients, may kilala kang, kunwari yung kapitbahay mo, diabetic siya, so interviewin mo siya, pumayag naman siya, tapos tatanungin mo siya ngayon kung may kakilala siyang diabetic, so pupunta ka doon hanggang sa dumami na yung samples. Referral siya. Hanggang sa ma-meet mo yung required sample size mo. Okay. Now, what is the required sample size ngayon? Is there a computation for non-probability? Wala. Hindi mo kailangan mag-compute ng sample size. Why? Because the limitation of the non-probability sampling, it is only descriptive. So you cannot make generalization. It's up to you. It's up to the researcher kung kailan siya mag-stop. Kailan lang kailangan niya. Now, when it comes to that number, palagi ko naririnig yung 30 is enough sample size. That is wrong, ha? Misconception po yon. Okay, naano ko po palagi yan, ha? According to my advisor, 30 is okay. No. So, 30, that assumption of 30 in the statistics is when it comes to the approximation to normality. So, sinasabi namin, if your data is not normal, and your sample is large enough, and that is at least 25 actually, so at least 25, then the distribution of the mean can be approximated to normal. Pero hindi ibig sabihin that is the sample size, the minimum sample size for you to be able to perform inferential statistics. Definitely po, if you will be performing quantitative research, specifically using the survey, there must be a computation of the sample size. Okay? So, sorry po, hindi ko na po yun maibibigay po sa inyo. So now, for the probability sampling techniques, we have the simple random sampling, systematic random sampling, stratified cluster sampling, and other yung mga complicated na sampling techniques. Simple random sampling, it is the draw lots mechanism. Okay, draw lots mechanism. Okay, so giving equal chance to all the members of the population. What is systematic? A systematic is requires you for a sampling interval. So once you have a sampling interval, you can just easily determine the samples. So, ang kailangan mo lang, mag-random start ka. Kailangan mo lang ng random start. Kunwari, meron akong 50 sa listahan. Tapos na-compute ko, yung sampling interval ko ay 5. Now, pipili ako ng random start. Kung saan ako magsimula? Kunwari, nagsimula ako sa 2. So, yung susunod ko doon, 7. Tapos susunod doon, 12. Tapos susunod doon, add ka lang ng add. Yun ang maganda sa systematic. So, systematic is a practical method of a practical probability sampling. Kasi for all of these methods, kailangan mo ng listahan. Kailangan mo ng sampling frame para doon ka magkukuha ng sample mo. Pag wala kang frame, paano ka makaka-generate randomly ng sample? Yun yung reason kung bakit may mga researcher na gumagamit ng non-probability kasi wala silang listahan. Now, this is the tip. Kung wala kang listahan, you use the systematic sampling. Kasi meron tayong Google, kunwari households naman siya, fixed naman ang mga housing units natin, di ba, fixed naman siya. In the Google Map, pumili ka lang ng random start mo, then you add the number of housing units. Kahit wala kang frame. That is one alternative. So, yung stratified naman po, para din siyang simple random sampling, pero meron siyang, ano ba yung sabihin ng stratify? Stratify. May divisions, may subdivisions, meron kang strata. Okay, may mga groups ka, and then in each group, you select your sample. So, pwedeng equal, pwedeng proportional. Okay? Meron din tayong tinatawag na cluster sampling. So, yung cluster sampling, ito yung pinaka-convenient sa lahat. So, kunwari, region. So, pipili ka lang ng region. Tapos, laki na ng region. Kunwari ay barangay na lang, barangay. So, yun yung grouping mo, barangay. So, pipili ka lang ng barangay. Then, all children in your selected barangays will be your sample. So parang napili mo tong cluster na to, then all members of that group will be your sample. Kaya lang ang problema po doon, minsan marami pa sila. So paano kung wag mo naman lahatin, ang dami-dami pa rin, limited lang yung budget. So pwede ka rin mag-draw ulit. So instead na lahat, select ka lang ng representative. Pero hindi na siya pwedeng tawaging cluster sampling. You call now that as two-stage, kung three-stage, kung tatlong stages, you call that three-stage, and so on. So, in general, we call that as multi-stage sampling. Okay? So, usually kapag mga nationwide, yung mga large-scale na survey, kalimitan po talaga, multi-stage tayo. Okay? O sige, pupunta po ako ngayon sa hypothesis testing. Pag tayo ay mag-i-inferential statistic, ano yung mga assumptions? Una, kailangan po nag-random selection ka ng sample. Kasi kung nag-census ka, hindi ka na mag-i-inferential. Kung nag-survey ka nga, pero hindi naman po probability sampling method ang ginamit mo, hindi ka pa rin po pwedeng mag-inferential. Maliwanag po yung mga limitations. Okay. So ngayon, ang assumption, random yung samples natin. So kung siya ay random, pwede tayo ngayong mag-generalize. Paano ba nag-generalize? So para makapag-generalize ka, magpe-perform ka ng test of hypothesis. So ano po yung mga components ng test of hypothesis? So una, you set your null and alternative hypothesis. So the null hypothesis is the statement of equality. So it is the statement of status quo, no difference. While alternative is usually the researcher's hypothesis. So this contradicts your null hypothesis. So this is the hypothesis that you will accept in case you reject the null hypothesis. So mutually exclusive po yan, ha? So hindi pwedeng nag-overlap. Okay? So, the next step is to identify now. So, nakaset ka na ng hypothesis. Depende yan sa objectives mo, ha? Huwag po kayong lalayo sa objective. Everything that we do, dapat naka-align tayo sa ating objectives. Huwag nating iiwanan yon, ano? So, now, ang next item is for us now to identify our statistical technique. So, meron pong dalawang classifications ang mga statistical techniques. May tinatawag pong parametric at may tinatawag na non-parametric. Yung non-parametric, actually medyo modern ano na po siya. Yung kumbaga nung na-develop yung statistics as a science, nag-start talaga yan sa parametric. Okay? So ano po ba ang difference nitong dalawa? Pag parametric, ito po yung mga methods na nagre-require na ang data mo ay measured at least in the interval scale. So ang data mo mga quantitative. And given na sila ay quantitative, dapat po wala tayong outliers. Kasi yung mga methods po na pang-parametric, ang kanila pong parameter of interest ay mean. E di po ba ang mean is affected by outliers? So, pag may outlier ka o skewed yung data mo, hindi mo pwedeng gamitin ng mean kasi mamimislead mo yung user mo. Magbibigay ka ng maling information. So, that will be replaced by, ano po sabi ko kanina, pag hindi pwede ang mean sa isang quantitative na may outlier, you use the median. Now, when you use the median, you are now using the non-parametric. Okay? Naintindihan po. So, now, ano yung non-parametric? Non-parametric, hindi naman ibig sabihin walang parameter. Ano? So, this is actually a distribution-free test. Hindi robust siya sa mga normal assumption. So, hindi niya kailangan hindi siya sensitive dun sa distribution. Particularly, hindi siya sensitive sa normal distribution. So, maganda dito sa procedure na to, meron tayong mga available procedure for nominal and ordinal data. So, yun po yung reason why it is important for you to realize the different levels of measurement. Diba, kanina ko po yung sinasabi na the levels of measurement will dictate the appropriate statistical method. Minsan nga po, sinasabi ko sa mga majors namin, pag ngayon pa lang, freshman kayo, hindi nyo na maintindihan ang levels of measurement, mag-isip-isip na kayo. Kasi paano mo masasabi sa client mo kung ano ang dapat mong method kung hindi mo alam ang levels of measurement. Kunwari, ganito, no? Nasatisfy ko yung assumptions ng normality. Wala akong problema sa assumptions. Okay, check ako doon. But I use the non-parametric. Is my result invalid? Hindi naman. But sa economics, opportunity loss. Sayang yung gumamit ka ng mas powerful na technique. Pero kung na-violate mo yung assumption ng parametric, pero gumamit ka pa rin ng parametric, yun na yung merong kang invalid result. Kaya importante po talaga sa parametric that you satisfy the assumption of normality. Okay? So, next is the level of significance. When we set, the level of significance is the probability of committing an error. It is a measure of error. So, dahil yan ay error, gusto natin maliit lang ang value niyan. Kasi, ano to no? Particularly, this is the probability of committing the type 1 error. So rejecting the null hypothesis when in fact the null hypothesis is true. So yun po yung kinokontrol niyan. Ano? So ngayon, yung level of significance, sabi ko nga dapat maliit lang yan, in such a way na negligible siya. Negligible. So at what point siya nagiging negligible? Hanggang 10%. So that is according to our mga statisticians. So nasa libro yan na maximum of 10%. Particularly kung may mga kayo, si Cochrane ang nagsabi niyan, na maximum of 10%. Okay? So, but then, paano tayo pumipili? Siyempre, if you have a 0.01, you are strict. Kasi ang liit niyan eh. So, ang liit ng probability of committing error. Pag naman 10%, so medyo na-relax mo naman siya. Kaya most of the time, even in the software, ang default is 5%. Di ba? Yung nakikita niyo sa mga software, pag hindi niyo binago yung alpha, ang default nila is 95% level of confidence. So 5% kasi parang not so relaxed, not so strict din naman. So sa mga experimental, usually 5% yan. Ngayon, pag nag-significant yung inyong results, even at 1%, ibig sabihin that is highly significant. So, ibig sabihin, napakaliit talaga ng p-value niyo doon. Okay? So, sa mga social sciences, especially sa mga survey, so, minsan, minamaximum natin yan sa 10% kasi nga, malaki yung error ng survey compared sa mga experimental. Okay? Then, of course, we have to set our decision rule. So, yung usually yung ina-adapt natin, ito na lang po yung sasabihin ko kasi in reality naman, when we generate statistical output, we will be using statistical software naman. So, pagka gumamit ka ng statistical software, your decision rule is in terms of the p-value. So, lahat po ng mga naglalabas siya ng p-value. So, your decision is, you reject the null hypothesis for a very small p-value. So otherwise, you fail to reject the null hypothesis. So ito lang po, caution lang, no? When we cannot reject HO, it doesn't mean that we are accepting the null hypothesis. Halimbawa po, yung HO mo ay equal, ang HA mo greater than, then your decision is fail to reject HO. So hindi naman ibig sabihin nun na you are declaring that it is equal. It's just that your sample is not sufficient enough to support the researcher's hypothesis. Yun po yung ibig sabihin lang. Ibig sabihin lang nun, you don't have a sufficient evidence to reject the null hypothesis. But it doesn't mean that you are accepting the null hypothesis. So palagi po namin yung kinaklaro. Okay? So ibig sabihin lang nga, hindi enough yung data mo para masupport mo yung researcher's hypothesis. Kaya nga, ang term palagi namin, di ba, we don't have sufficient evidence.